how do you think the journey, and of course you know the communities, the trans community so well, so you would know, how do you think the journey is different when you are in the public eye versus when you're not? Like, there are the obvious differences, of course, we've talked about like the pressure from success of movies and things like that. But are there any more nuanced or subtle things that some of us could miss in plain sight because you're not living that journey or you're not seeing it?
Don't know. I mean, it's so funny because it's just like my strange experience in this life. I mean, maybe in that you're just going through this transition in front of a lot of people, and having people speculate or make comments or assumptions about your life and your experience that can often be incredibly hurtful and demeaning. And at the same time, everything's like, relative. Everyone's sort of having that in their own individual orbit. And my position obviously comes with such an enormous amount of privilege. Like, my life does not reflect the lives of most trans people who deal with, disproportionate amount of unemployment, poverty, incarceration, violence, etc., particularly Black trans people. So I'd be lying if I said there weren't certain elements of this sort of unusual experience that don't have its sort of challenges or difficult moments. And at the same time, what I always go back to is the degree in which my privilege and resources help and also protect me. If I'm getting threats, I have the money to hire security. I could get, pay for surgery to get it quickly. All of these aspects that name change, think about that, all those documents, your passport, like all of these things that, for those that, don't have the certain privileges and resources I have is incredibly difficult and makes life incredibly difficult.
Yeah. And I'm glad you raised that point because, I think, we have to also look at it from that perspective of just, again, going back to the reality of what these choices and decisions like actually look like in the real world, because similar, and I appreciate that view from you constantly of like looking at it from, well, this is what it actually looks like. This is what's actually going on. This is what we may not see if we're only looking at and again, that doesn't take away from your journey as well. Like that shouldn't take away from the challenges and stresses and the realities of what you're experiencing. But I wanted to pivot to certain things because I feel like the book is just the beginning of so many more exciting, incredible adventures of what you'll go on to do and achieve. And I heard that you're a big history buff, and I'm guessing you're doing a lot of reading there. I wonder whether there's any. Has there been, and you talked about even just, I love what you've been saying, that just, and when I'm hearing someone speak, and it really, the way you express this is really going to stay with me. This idea that the biggest win is just you being able to do the simplest things in a present way. Like that will stay with me so much because it's something that we all take for granted so much. Like, I know I do. Like it's a very easy thing to miss out on. And some of us are not even present, but even if we are present, we take that for granted. And so the idea that you feel so much presence in just having coffee this morning, or like reading a book, or being with friends in the park, or what, all those examples you were giving. I wanted to dive into seeing as you're such a big reader, when did you become such a history buff, and what has been the latest historic discovery that has kind of brought you joy?
I haven't been reading too much stuff about history.
Or anything else, anything you're reading.
Oh, lately I've been reading Octavia Butler, because I, embarrassed to say, I hadn't read Octavia Butler before. So I just read Wild Seed and Kindred. I guess obviously those books have a fantastical sort of history, but obviously a very intense history element to it. Like Wild Seed and Kindred, a very brutal history. I've been reading more novels lately. Yeah, obviously both of Octavia Butler's books are novels, but also Our Wives Under the Sea was tremendous. Brandon Taylor's new novel. Is it called The Last Americans? I might be getting the name wrong, but his latest novel was amazing. So less like history specific,
but it's all history, yeah.
But obviously there's historical elements in a lot of those different things.
Yeah.
Not really the Brandon Taylor one at
all.
No,
not the novel, but yeah. Yeah, the other ones. Yeah, no. And I think that is the point, right? Like I think
this looks fun.
Biographies and diaries and autobiographies are all have historical elements to them. I mean, that's where they come from. And one part that felt very journal-like in your book was